Hello, my beautiful souls. My name is Nicole, and I am here to help you reconnect with your light. Today, I wanted to talk about the body and how we don't really understand the body, and everything that we've been taught about the body, well, isn't necessarily true. So I wanted to debunk a few myths here. So just to give you a little bit of context here, I mentioned in some of my previous videos that everything is energy. We as human beings are energy made into matter. And what determines how we exist and how we be is our energy. So, as Einstein explained, when energy is moving at the speed of light, when energy is moving rather very slowly, it becomes more dense. When energy is moving very, very fast, then it cannot be material because it is then just energy. So it's important to understand that we are soul beings having a human experience, and our physical bodies are simply the vessels in which our souls exist, because our souls essentially are energy. And in order for us to experience this human existence, we needed something in order to make us material. We needed something in order to make us physical. And this is the purpose that our body serves. So I'm sure many of you have heard, our body is our temple. And that is true because it is the temple that houses our soul. So many of us, when it comes to wellness, many of us think that simply sleeping enough hours a day and eating right and doing some exercise is all that we need in order to remain in optimal health. Well, unfortunately, that's just not true, because our body is far more complex than we realize, and our body needs far more than we realize. So the first myth I want to debunk here is that we need to be eating 3 meals a day. Beautiful souls, that simply isn't true. Especially now, many of you might have been experiencing some interesting shifts. Obviously, there is what is going on in the physical world, which is this pandemic. But as I've explained in previous videos, the pandemic, or what we are seeing on the material plane, is simply the manifestation of the energetic changes that are taking place. So, of course, no one really knows what's happening, but if we look to the ancient scriptures, if we follow the astrology, if we look at some of the ancient prophecies, whether these are Mayans, Hopi, Hindus, the prophecies that a time would come when the world would change is taking place right now. And the energy that's taking place right now is chaotic, and many of us just don't understand how to live or be in this new energy. So understanding the body and treating the body differently as we go through these energetic shifts is extremely important if we're going to make it. So we are human beings, we are soul beings having a human experience, we are soul beings having a physical experience. So whenever we eat, our digestive system is actually what takes up the most amount of energy within our body. Think about it this way: every time you eat a meal, most of the time you're quite ready to take a nap, especially if you're somewhere that's quite warm. And why that is because once the digestive system starts running, well, the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the system within your body that generates rest and relaxation, becomes activated, and this is why you feel like you are calm, or that you can have a nap, because your body is in a state of calmness. But now what happens is, if we are digesting food that isn't really bringing us much nutrients or isn't giving us the things that our body really needs, then we're expending our energy and using our energy on things that we could be using that might be far more useful. Especially now, I don't know about you, but I have been feeling exhausted for weeks now. And these are linked to Ascension Symptoms, because many of us are going through ascension. What does that mean exactly? Well, it just means that we are transforming. We as human beings are evolving into human 2.0. And I'm certain that many of you have experienced changes, perhaps whether it is in your diet. Sorry for the noise, little plane going overhead. So what happens is we need to be more aware of what we are putting into our bodies, because especially now as we are ascending and as we are evolving, our bodies are becoming less dense and our energies are becoming less dense. So we have to try and help our bodies through this process, and eating food that is extremely dense, eating anything that is processed, eating things that are full of sugar, eating things that are full of chemicals is not going to be conducive to the evolvement of your body, because it makes it very difficult for your digestive system to break these things down. But on top of it, you're just adding toxins into your body. So it's very, very, very important that at this time you start being more mindful of what you are choosing to put inside your body. So really focusing on a predominantly vegetarian diet is really something that I would recommend now, because it's nutrient rich. So something just to come back and mention before I move forward here is your stomach is literally the size of your fist. So obviously all of us have a different fist size, but it means compare the size of your fist and imagine this is actually the size of your stomach. There's not that much that can fit in here, and anything that goes more than this handful is actually you're extending your stomach. So it's important to understand that we mustn't be overeating. This myth of having to eat 3 times a day is complete nonsense. It's important to listen to your body and become in tune with your body, and to only eat when your body feels hungry. I've actually replaced 2 of my meals by juice. I drink a lot of green vegetable juice. And then I have 1 meal per day, which is generally quite a light meal. And this actually is giving me so much more energy, and it also is helping my body through this process. So it's important to understand that there is a deep need to eat nourishing food, and to eat food that is going to keep our body light and to not be consuming all of our energy, especially now with this pandemic going on. It's important to help our immune system to stay strong, because if our immune system is strong, then we're less likely to pick up anything that's lying around. So important to understand here that, as I said, our body is just a physical manifestation of our soul. So I just want to explain here the mind-body-soul connection. So to break it down a little bit, well, our body is the physical entity that we see and which houses our soul. But then we also have the mind, and we have to understand that there is the conscious mind, so all those things that you are consciously aware of, whether what you're speaking, you're saying, you're doing, pulling up memories, etc. Then your subconscious mind is, let's say, deeper memories, values, beliefs, and things that you might not necessarily be aware of. So something that you should know here is that our beliefs, the foundation of our beliefs, are created between the ages of 1 and 5. Between the ages of 1 and 5, what do we really understand about the world? Not much. The way a child sees the world is very different from the way an adult sees the world, because we have a different perspective. So it's important to understand here that the subconscious mind, we're not necessarily aware. The subconscious mind, so we have to look at the body, the mind, body, soul, as almost a supercomputer, where the body is the hardware and the software, shall we say, is the conscious mind. So these are the programs that are maybe on your desktop, the programs that you use quite often. And then the subconscious mind can be linked to the deeper software, let's say the operating system of your computer. So the thing is, unless you go looking for what is in the operating system, it works, but you don't necessarily know how it works. And if you don't know how it works, well, you don't know how to hack it. So it's important to understand here that the subconscious mind and the soul are basically one and the same. So the subconscious mind and the soul, and maybe not all of you will agree with this, but I'm going to put this out there, is because we are soul beings having a human experience, we have lived, our souls at least, have lived many, 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 many lives. And what happens is the body actually remembers every single one of the past lives that it has lived through, as does the subconscious mind. And this is why if you do things like past life regressions, you are able to travel back into past lives and remember things about lives that you lived previously. But now the body can also remember this, because what happens is, because we are energy and because the body is a physical manifestation of our soul, it means that the body remembers everything. So put it this way, I'm not sure if you're aware of the concept of chi, but basically chi is we have energy that is moving throughout our entire body, and it literally moves throughout the entire crevices in every little small area of our body, big, small organs, everywhere. There's constantly energy moving throughout our body, and this is why massage therapy, yoga, exercise, these are all great ways to get the energy moving through our body. But now what happens is sometimes the energy within our body stops to flow correctly, and this happens every time we experience a state of stress, because this is affecting our autonomic nervous system. And the nervous system is essentially the connection between the brain and the spine. And what happens is whenever we're thinking or believing or whenever we're using our mind, there are lots and lots of energetic messages that are being sent from our brain to our spine. And the spine holds the nervous system, and the nervous system is what then says, okay, well, if I want to move my hand, there is a thought from my brain going into my spine to activate that nerve, which is connected from my brain to my spine to my hand. So now what happens over time is if the nervous system gets overloaded, for example, when there is too much stress, and most of us are living in a state of chronic stress, which means most of us are actually stuck in a state of fight or flight, which means our body tenses up. Think about it this way: when you experience a shock or when you receive very, very bad news, I'm certain, or if you start to pay attention, you tend to feel a pang, whether it could be a tightness in the chest, it could be a tightness in the stomach, perhaps it's a tightness in the back of your throat, wherever it may be. But what's happening is there's an energetic block that has occurred. And when that energetic block occurs, it means that now your energy is not moving correctly throughout your entire body. So instead of the energy moving and flowing clearly throughout my entire body, it means now, so let's say I got a bit of bad news, and that emotion, because I didn't know how to process that emotion, it became stuck in my chest. So what happens now is all the energy that is flowing, because the energy became stuck here, it means that the energy is not flowing correctly through my chest. So that means that now, let's say the energy would be flowing this way, the energy now, because of the blockage, would then be flowing this way, or this way, or this way, which means that there would be more energy flowing to certain parts of your bodies than other. And what does that mean exactly? Well, what it means is if energy is not flowing correctly, it means that there is no consistent flow throughout the body. And to just bring it down to the chakra systems here, because it's important to understand that the energy, each of our chakras is an energetic center. So for example, we have the heart chakra, and the heart chakra relates to everything that is to do with love and the way that we can feel and allow love and feel love in our lives. So now if there is a blockage in my heart chakra, well, what happens is there will actually be a blockage in my actual heart, because energy and matter are almost one and the same thing. So if the energy is not flowing correctly through my heart, it means that my heart chakra, in any way in which that I feel love, there are going to be blockages. So this might manifest in the way in which I can experience love in relationships, whether these are romantic relationships or relationships with friends or family. And so you see how physically this can affect our emotions and our mental state and so on and so forth. So now, because the energy is not flowing correctly through each of the chakras, what happens is because the energy is not flowing and not balanced correctly, this starts to lead to physical misalignments. Because if the energy is not flowing correctly through each of our chakras, each of the 7 chakras, then what happens is over time, it means that the energy is not flowing correctly through the different parts of our bodies, and the energy is not flowing correctly through our different organs. And over time, what does this mean? Well, energy, I guess, moving can also be looked as blood flow. If there is an energetic blockage, then it means not enough oxygenated blood is reaching that part of your body. And we know that if not enough oxygenated blood is reaching a certain part of your body, whether it's a ligament, whether it's an organ, whether it's a part of your body, whatever it may be, then over time, the health of that part of your body is going to start to disintegrate. But also it means that it starts to lead to premature aging because the energy is not flowing correctly. Another example of this is why it's extremely important to process our emotions, because emotions are just energy in motion. So if we do not process the energetic loop of the emotion taking place, then that emotion or the energy becomes trapped, and that leads to all sorts of issues and disbalances and blockages, whether that be physical, mental, or emotional. So I know this is a lot of information here, but please bear with me. So another example is of how a blockage can occur is, for example, think about when you were little. How many times were you riding your bike and you fell off your bike and you hit your knee? What happened was, so even if there wasn't a major injury, there was no blood or anything like this, the impact of your knee hitting the ground caused shock to your nervous system. Now, what happened is, because the pain was so intense and because the mind is there to protect us, and the mind is all about, because we've sent messages to our mind over time that we do not want to feel pain or experience pain, what happens then is, if there was an impact and we feel pain in our knee, what the brain did at that point in time was it severed the connection. There was a connection that was severed between the mind and the knee, which means that the energy became blocked within the knee, but also there was no connection between the mind and the knee. So if I were to say, try and feel your knee, really try and feel it, not many of us would be able to do that. Now, the knee might be closer up to the brain, so if I were to say, and how many times have we hit our little toes, for example? And it is excruciating when you bump your little toe. So think about, now, if I were to say, feel the nail on your left little toe, how quickly would you be able to do that? And the reason you probably can't feel the nail on your little left toe is because there are blockages between your brain, your nervous system, which is along your spine, and your little baby toe. So what happens is, now, because the energy is not flowing to the knee or to the little baby toe, for example, it means that the energy is diverting the knee, which means not enough oxygenated blood is coming into the knee. And that energy is moving elsewhere, but over time, this results in things like arthritis, stiffness in the ligaments, stiffness in the muscles, stiffness in the fascia. And the fascia is basically the layer of skin underneath the skin but over the muscles. So over time, if you're always sitting like this, well, what happens is we start to take that shape. So what am I trying to say here? Well, what I'm trying to explain is that energy and understanding the energetic movement within your body is extremely important, because otherwise you're not going to be in optimal health, but also this causes issues. So for example, think about every time maybe you suffer with anxiety. And I know that there have been moments where I've also suffered with an anxiety. And the way I tend to feel anxiety is I feel like a bit of a palpitation in my chest. So now I've learned a process which helps me to terminate that energetic loop of the sensation of the anxiety that I'm feeling. But what happens is, if the anxiety then gets stuck within the chest because we haven't worked on completing that energetic loop, what happens is, if I'm sitting in a certain position, for example, then I might activate something, or I might sit in a position which will push against, let's say, I might be sitting uncomfortably, and so this is actually, sorry, I'm struggling to find my words here, but let's say I might sit in a certain position, and as I'm sitting in that position, it might activate the anxiety. And so what happens is, even though I have no reason whatsoever, I might start feeling anxious out of the blue and have no reason why, and there might be absolutely nothing going on, but I feel the anxiety and I just can't understand why. Actually, the reason why you're feeling that anxiety is because you're sitting in a position which is actually amplifying the sensations within your body of that emotion, of the energetic loop that you did not allow to complete. So, question is, how can you allow that energetic loop to complete? So mind and body are deeply connected. So when we have an emotion, the way in which we actually feel an emotion is because we feel physical sensations in our body. So like I said, anxiety might be a palpitation in the chest. Somebody gives you a bit of bad news, you might suddenly feel like your stomach is dropping. You might, so on and so forth. There are many different ways in which, anger, you might start to feel like a constriction in the throat. So the best way to allow this energetic loop to complete is, think about an emotion that you would like to work on here. So you can just gently come and close the eyes here, and just, for example, let's work on anxiety. So go in and just try and imagine a situation in which you're anxious. So many of us actually struggle with social anxiety. So just try and put yourself in a situation whereby, you might have been in a crowd and you're meeting lots of people and you're starting to feel uncomfortable, and maybe you've gone with a group of friends and everybody knows each other, but you don't really know anyone and you're not a super chatty person, so you don't really know how to deal with this. So just pull up that emotion, feel it in your chest or feel it wherever, whichever part of your body that you normally feel that. Now, this might get a little bit uncomfortable, but I'm going to ask you here to amplify the energy. Just take that sensation, feel that physical sensation. So if it's sort of fluttering in your chest, just really amplify it. And don't worry about it. There's no right or wrong way to do this. I'm just helping you to start to connect with the energy in your body. So just amplify that feeling, and just don't allow your mind to wander except for on the sensation that you're feeling. So really focus in on your chest here, really focus in on that sensation, really feel whatever that is. And you might start to feel uncomfortable, but just know that you are safe, everything is okay. Just really feel that sensation, go into that sensation, and eventually you'll start to feel that sensation begin to dissipate. You'll start to feel that energetic loop begin to close. So just think about that, and just something to practice about next time whenever an emotion comes up, rather than reacting and going into the mind and being like, oh, I'm so stupid, why am I feeling this? Just have a little bit of compassion for yourself. Have a little bit more compassion for yourself, and just focus on the physical sensations within your body and amplify that sensation until that sensation begins to disintegrate. And what you've done here is you've allowed that energetic block to move. And now the more you do this, the more you are sending messages to your brain that these emotions no longer need to sit within your body and therefore hold you back. And the more you start to allow the energetic loops of your emotions to complete, then you are going to start allowing energy to flow more freely throughout your body. And this is going to start to help the general well-being and health of your body, because it also means you're allowing more oxygenated blood to reach parts of your body that you hadn't noticed before. So I know this is a lot of information, so before I end this video here, I just want to touch on one more point, is about the breath, because the breath is the best way to regulate your nervous system. So as I said, we can either be in fight or flight mode, which is when we're tense, we're uncomfortable, there's not a lot of blood going to the heart. The heart starts to pump really fast, so all the energy is going to your heart because it's giving you the energy to flee. Whereas when you're relaxed, then your heart is going slower, blood is pumping slower, and your whole system starts to slow down. So one way to really start to help you deal with stress and to try and just naturally relax your entire being, because most of us are in fact stuck in fight or flight. So think about how often you try to relax, but for example, when you go to bed and you can't actually feel like you can relax your body, even if you have nothing going on, it's because your body is stuck in fight or flight. So by starting to focus more on your breathing here, and to start elongating your breathing, because what happens is most of us actually take out really short breaths. Most of us tend to breathe like this. And so that's activating the flight or fight system. So now by elongating your breath, and the more you exhale, it means the more breath you can actually inhale. So for example, let me show you. So really breathe out. So really fill out your lungs, and on the exhale, really empty everything out of your body and send it all the way down into the base of your spine. So really breathe into your buttocks. Allow breath to exit all your body. So really breathe out long. And the best thing to do here in order to start to relax your nervous system is take nice, long inhales through the nose and pull energy from your belly all the way up into your chest. And on the exhale from the mouth and really pushing from the back of the throat, making a HA sound, sort of like this. Really relaxing the back of your neck here. This will really help to regulate your nervous system and to start to help you to be a little bit more calm. So this is a lot of information here, but I really, really hope that this gives you a little bit of a better understanding of your body and how you can help your body relax and how you can start to get more control over your emotions. So beautiful souls, I wish you a beautiful day. I send you so much love and light, And I wish you all the luck through this journey, and just know that all that you are experiencing is helping you to evolve into a better version of yourself. Love and light to you all. Have a beautiful day.